which is a parent, and then container, which is a div, and we are just styling over here. So what are the 4 ways in which we can center a div? First one is using FlexBox, second margin, third position, and the fourth way which we can center a div is text align center. So first one is using FlexBox. So using FlexBox, we are going to use FlexBox in the parent. So display flex and then align items center. So what align items, a property of FlexBox, does is it's places the div, the children, which is the container, along the y-axis. So in the y-axis, it's saying to put it in the center along the y-axis. So if you save it, we can see the result as like this. Now we want to center this div along the x-axis as well. So what we do over here is justify content and then center, and if you save, we can see the result that is centered perfectly. Now the second way is using margin. Now if you remove the code of FlexBox, so how does margin work? So if we put margin 0 and auto, what it does is, if you save it, is that we are saying top and bottom should be 0, and the left and the right space, and the left and the right space around the div should be calculated automatically according to the CSS. So along the x-axis it's centered, but what about the y-axis? You might say if you remove the 0 and say auto, it will work, but if you save it, it doesn't work, as you see. So in order to solve this, we simply can do is display flex on the parent, and voila, everything is solved. So this was the second way, using margin. Now third one is using position, which is a little tedious to type. So let's do position. So the position of the parent should be relative, and the children should be position absolute. Now we want to center the div using position. So what we can do is top 50% and left 50%. Now if you save this, we can get the result over here like this. Now you might say this visually doesn't look, it's like centered, but if you look at our logic, we are saying from the top go below 50% and from the left go 50% towards the right. So if we use our imagination, from the top 50%, from the left 50%, so technically according to the CSS, the div is centered because the div starts from the top left corner, which is this area. So technically this top left corner is centered, but visually it doesn't look right. So in order to correct this problem, which is called correct the offset, what we can do is use transform. So transform, and then we use translate. So translate can take 2 properties. One is along the x-axis and along the y-axis. So along the x-axis, we say go back minus 50% and then minus 50% along the y-axis. So if we save this, voila, we have centered a div using the position. Now for the last one, which technically only centers along the x-axis, what we can do is use text align method. So I think everybody knows text align center method in CSS. So what we do over here is text align center. Text align center, what is saying is every children of the parent body should be text align center, which is technically a div should be centered, and the div inside the body should behave as a inline block. And if you save this, it is centered along the x-axis. So guys, this was the 4 ways in which you could center a div.